How is it possible that a 90-year-old pensioner, someone who has worked all his life, is now having to return to work? He's owed over £30,000 in rent, £30,000, and he's now at risk of losing his property. At 90, there is no time to recover from a loss like this. Welcome to Tenancy Talk. In a recent reported case, a landlord in his 90s was left with over £30,000 in arrears. The tenant remained in the property, while the situation escalated. The local authority advised the tenant to stay. The case dragged on. Deadlines were missed, and at some point, the process had to start again. That's the part that isn't being fully explained, because arrears don't reach £30,000 overnight. They build through delay, through inaction, and through missed intervention points. By the time this reached £30,000, the issue wasn't just the arrears. It was how the case had been handled. This case predates the abolition of Section 21, and that matters, because even under Section 21, the process isn't automatic. A notice must be valid. It must be served on the correct prescribed form. Once served, a landlord cannot take further action until the notice period has passed, and if that notice isn't acted on in time, it expires, and the entire process starts again. We don't know exactly what happened here, but when you see delay, missed deadlines, and a case restarting, those are the pressure points. Now ask the bigger question. What does a case like this look like? After Section 21 is abolished on the 1st of May, because the no-fault route will no longer be an available option, landlords must rely on Section 8, which means the case must be evidence-based and the correct grounds for possession detailed in the notice. Early contact, understanding the tenant's circumstances, attempts at payment arrangements, and clear documentation throughout. From there, escalation. And depending on the level of arrears and the tenant's situation, different grounds may apply. In some cases where arrears meet the required level, a mandatory ground, commonly known as Ground 8, may be available, but only where the arrears are correctly calculated and do not include amounts that may still be subject to benefit payments. In other cases, landlords may rely on discretionary grounds, where rent is unpaid or persistently late. And in those situations, the court does not have to grant possession outright, which means the outcome is not just reliant on what is owed, but how the arrears accrued, the tenant's circumstances, and how the case is presented. This is a complex area to navigate. It requires judgment, timing, and a clear understanding of the process. And where that understanding isn't there, independent advice becomes critical, because situations like this, where a 90-year-old is forced back into work because he's owed £30,000, do not happen overnight. They build. And the real question is not just what happened. It's this. How did a 90-year-old pensioner that has worked all his life have to return to work when his tenant owes him £30,000 of unpaid rent? Thank you for watching Tenancy Talk. Subscribe for real-life cases, legal updates, and what these changes mean in practice.